Today is the 18th Sunday in Ordinary Time, Year C. And today's readings talk about gratitude. It is said that gratitude is the smallest of or the least of all the virtues. But ingratitude is the worst of the vices. Preparing this reflection, I remembered a story I once heard about a man who died and was taken to heaven, and St. Peter was taking him on a tour. And he came to an office where the angels working in that office were so busy, and there was a long line of people. And this man asked St. Peter, "What is this for, this office?" And he said, "This is office where people's requests, petitions are received and opened. Those who have made prayers of requests, prayers of petition, their prayers arrive here, their letters arrive here, and they're opened and then passed on to God." As they continued, he saw another office where there is this angel sleepy because there wasn't much work to do. And then this man asked the same question, "What happens here?" St. Peter responded, "This is an office where people's gratitude is received. Those whom God has responded to their prayers, and they come back to thank God. This is where their prayers of gratitude are received." And there were nobody there. My question is, where do you belong to? Are you one of those that receive blessings, that receive good things from God, that have your prayers answered and then go away? Or are you one of those that's the few that will come back to God to give thanks? Interestingly, in our first reading on the gospel, we see people suffering from leprosy. The first one was Naaman, that was cured of his leprosy. He's not a Jew. He's a Gentile, a foreigner, a Syrian, an army officer. But then when he discovered that he had been cured through the instrumentality of the prophet of God, Elisha, he came back to give thanks through Elisha to God. Elisha rejected his gifts. And remember, listen to the very words of this man. He said, "Now I know that there is no God in all the earth except in Israel. Now, please accept a present from your servant." Acknowledgement of what God has done in his life. There is no God elsewhere except in Israel. But when Elisha refused, he requested to take something from the place with these words, "Since your answer is no, allow your servant to be given as much earth as 2 mules may carry, because your servant will no longer offer holocaust or sacrifice to any god except the Lord. What God has done for us, the marvels he has done, we come to worship him. Gratitude, the least of all the virtues. But it's a way of appreciating, of acknowledging that God has done wonders in our lives, and God continues to do wonders in our lives. We sleep and wake up each morning thinking it is by our own power, thinking it is because we have set alarm, the alarm is what woke us up. No. If you think so, then take the same alarm to the mortuary and let us know how many dead bodies, how many dead people will be raised by the same alarm that you think has waken you up in the morning. It is God. It is what the Lord does. It is part of the Lord's salvation. And this is to invite you to worship, to gratitude, to honor, to trust and believe in him. The first reading already prepares us for what we see in the gospel. Another stranger, but a stranger that recognizes God's place in his life. Mind you, leprosy is taken as the worst of all diseases and as a punishment from God. And those that suffer from leprosy were ostracized. They lost the religious value because they cannot associate with the people. They cannot go to the synagogue or to the temple to worship. They were also socially ostracized. And imagine the mental, the psychological, and the emotional trauma that comes from being ostracized from your family. In fact, there's always a liturgy, a funeral liturgy, a funeral ceremony done to someone suffering from this, because it's taken, the person is dead. So, being healed of leprosy is like being reborn, gaining your life anew, coming back from the dead. That is what happened. Again, another detail is that there were 10 people. And in the words of Jesus, were there not 10, while only one, this Samaritan, another stranger? The Jews and the Samaritans never had any connection. They were arch enemies. But we see that predicament has brought them together, the Samaritan and the Jews. Those who would have prided themselves as having the temple, as having God. The Samaritans were taken as impure. They're not of pure blood. But incidentally, in the scriptures where Samaritans were mentioned, it's always something of good. Remember the Good Samaritan. You remember also the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman at the well. How come you, a Jew, is asking me, a Samaritan, to give you water? And eventually this woman went into the town and then converted everybody, brought them to Jesus. And here again, another Samaritan returns with gratitude, returns with appreciation, returns to give thanks for what God has done in his life. Sometimes we can be like the other 9. We offer prayers. We ask for mercies to be said for us, for our intentions. Then When God responds positively to our prayers and gives us what we are requesting, we no longer remember the church. We go to celebrate in the pubs. We go to celebrate elsewhere except in the church to give testimony to God's goodness in our lives. My dear friends, let us have a rethink. Let us come to God with gratitude for his numerous blessings upon us, for the wonders he does in our lives, for the wonder of our being, for the successes achieved, for the health we have. There's always a reason to thank God. Let us be like these strangers, the Syrian in the first reading and the Samaritan in the second. They have given us a good example of what it means to have God and to return to God in thanksgiving. Let this be our attitude. God recognizes them, God blesses them, and God nourishes us in them. Peace be with you.